Welcome to Louisville Motor Speedway. Again in 1989, Louisville Motor Speedway set the pace with the most competitive and exciting weekly stock car racing program in the country, along with the finest lineup of special racing events and entertainment. Combining the finest accommodations for racers and fans with the most action-packed events, Louisville Motor Speedway continues to live up to its reputation as the nation's finest short track. The beautiful facility that Andy Vertrees and Kenny Stilger designed and built provides the Louisville area stock car racers and fans with a showplace for the best in sports entertainment, and continues to be a model for new racing facilities all across the country. Louisville Motor Speedway was named the best new racing operation in the entire nation by the racing promoters. Louisville Motor Speedway was built with and continues to make as its top priority the creation of a center for family entertainment, a place where you bring the family to enjoy the best entertainment value that the Louisville area has to offer. A place with convenient free parking, clean facilities, great food and luxury accommodations. Something for everyone, from the tots to the teens, through mom and dad and grandma and grandpa as well. No doubt about it. When you talk about short track stock car racing facilities, there's nothing else quite like Louisville Motor Speedway. Stock Car Racing Magazine just called it a class act. And when you talk about on-track competition, there's nothing else quite like Louisville Motor Speedway. The competition is incredible. Champions at Louisville Motor Speedway know they have beaten the best in sheer numbers and in terms of quality. The race teams at LMS are second to none. The action was hot and heavy all year long in the Martin Landscaping Sportsman Division, with a scintillating point battle that went down to the final race of the season. Sam Price in the number 02, Jim Bartley in the number 17, battled tooth and nail for the championship the entire year. And on the final day, Sam Price locked up the season championship with Bartley a strong second. Wade Johnson, who included in his accomplishments for 1989 a victory in the Derby City 100, wound up running third. David Hine, Todd Robinson, Rick Carr, Rick Irwin, Leon Lewis, Gary Ott, and Randall Rice rounded out the top 10 in incredible Martin Landscaping Sportsman Racing action for 1989. No doubt a bunch of tough competitors in the sportsman division, but a division where they really let their sheet metal do the talking had to be the Gatorade Bomber division, and its support division, the Rookie Bomber division. The biggest classes at Louisville Motor Speedway, real entry ground for guys who just want to get into racing to come out and see if they've got what it takes. And at Louisville Motor Speedway, the Bomber Division competition was absolutely awesome each and every night. And what a great, wild array of racing car drivers you had in the Bomber Division. A radio disc jockey named Road Hazard. Father Tom, that's right, a Catholic priest. Even the Jefferson County Police get in the act with car number 911, driven by a variety of officers. But at the top, battling for that Gatorade Point Championship all year, guys like Wayne Spencer and Dean Donahoe, Jerry Bard, Terry Payne Jr., Doug Stevens and Steve Wilbert had super years. James Chumley, Jerry Payne, Spike Gathoff were in the top 5 all year long. But in the end, it was a rookie, a second-generation racer who was able to take home the championship. Scott Dewey in the 038. In 1989, the Gatorade Mini Stock Division was as wild a division as you could find, with 3, 4, and 5 wide racing very common on the 3/8 mile oval at Louisville Motor Speedway. The Mini Stocks also included one of the great stories of the year in all of racing anywhere in the country. Bob Brent, driving the number 85, was featured nationally on ESPN and in national publications for his determination and guts and accomplishments, getting back in a race car after being paralyzed in a motocross accident a few years ago. The specially designed number 85 and Brem's determination to get to the top carried him to victory lane as a feature race winner and as one of the top competitors in the mini stock class at Louisville Motor Speedway. Battling for the points championship throughout the year, along with Bob Brem, were guys like Dave Hamilton, George Lawrence, and Mike Glantz. Sonny Cox, Marshall Jaggers, Mike Freeman had a great year. Rookie of the year, Lanny Smith was tough. But the 3 guys who basically battled for the championship were Gary Holloway, who had the edge early, Gary Martin, who was strong and consistent all year, and George Cope, who came from behind, overtook both Martin and Holloway down the stretch, and won the championship strong in that number 99. Some of the most daring and skillful competitors in all of motorsports, and certainly the most exciting program in motorsport, is the Louisville Motor Speedway Friday night figure eight class. What action, what excitement. The fans screaming in delight every Friday night as these guys cut through the X and just did not hold back. Danny Blackwell ended up winning the season championship in a duel all year long with top competitors. Buck Skaggs, Roger Vincent, Raymond Unconscious Johnson, Chuck Barnes, Bill Riley Jr., Harold Murphy, Tom Wagner, Tony Conway, Jim Butler rounded out the top 10. But there were so many guys involved in great action in the figure eight throughout the year. You just sit back, watch, and marvel at what they did. Even though he didn't finish in the top 10 in the points, one guy who made his name known in 1989 in the Stroh's figure eight division was Troy Morrison in the X53. He just came through the X no matter the odds, no matter the situation, and you just had to shake your head sometimes at things that he and Timmy Blackwell in the X12 and Pat Pierce in the X59 might do when they got to that intersection. A wild and crazy class, and the fans were rocking every week. Incredible competition. And that's what you can say when you talk about the Winston Bush late models, the showpiece of Louisville Motor Speedway racing. Sensational racing machines, great race teams, and the top driving talent in the entire nation. Part of the NASCAR Winston Racing Series, a competition that you can put up against any short track in the country. The battle just to make the field for the Winston Bush late model feature was awesome throughout 1989. The competitors were the best the area had to offer, and the top 10 reads like a who's who from area racing annals. Rookie of the Year, Steve Webb, Joe Williamson Jr., former Fairgrounds champ Preston Ford, Larry Metters, one of the all-time greats in the area, 1988 champion Bill Webb, Joe Williamson Sr., a former top 10 finalist in NASCAR Winston Racing Series competition, Frank Kimmel, who finished 8th in the NASCAR Winston Racing Series Mid-America region, Keith Gardner with several special event triumphs in 1989. Scott Walters, the Kentucky Motor Speedway reigning champion, who was the runner-up in 1989 at LMS. And the champion for 1989 in the NASCAR-sanctioned Winston Bush late model division at Louisville Motor Speedway, number 8, the firefighter from Pleasure Ridge Park, the former professional softball player, Chuck Winders. In 1989, Winders fought off the best the area had to offer to take the championship at the nation's finest short track in the NASCAR Winston Bush late model class. Along with that great racing competition on a weekly basis, Louisville Motor Speedway has always strived to be on the cutting edge of providing the best entertainment along with the great racing competition for Louisville area fans. In 1989, in conjunction with WAMZ, Louisville Motor Speedway hosted top-name country concerts for free with the likes of Ricky Van Shelton, Highway 101, Earl Thomas Conley, and many others, providing great shows for country music fans. but also during the racing program himself. Louisville Motor Speedway's very successful Renegades racing and wrestling was back, including a match with a moving ring, never before done. Louisville Motor Speedway was the first to send the TNT monster trucks racing side by side on a figure-8 course, and that was back in action in 1989. But there were also new innovations, including one that touched everybody who was at Louisville Motor Speedway in August, when the Speedway and WAMZ had a night to support the American flag, and the entire racetrack was full of race cars, 3 abreast, flying the American flag. Then the drivers presented the flags to fans in the stand. A message from Lee Greenwood helped to highlight a great night, a sentimental night that also included sensational stock car racing. Special event winners for 1989 included John Basham, who took for the second straight year the Button Mid-South Figure-8 100. Keith Gardner seemed to grab the big prizes in the Winston Bush late model class, taking the Bob Hook Chevrolet, Bachman Chevrolet Louisville 150, then coming back later in the year to win the Metal Center Bluegrass 300. And it was Gardner's late model, the number 98 car, that ended up in victory lane for the Race of Champions. The Kroger Race of Champions brought Winston Cup stars like Michael Waltrip, Richard Petty, A.J. Boyd, and others to Louisville Motor Speedway. But in that number 98, Rick Wilson grabbed the race victory. Tommy Houston won the Granger Select 200 NASCAR Busch Grand National race, fighting off a determined effort from Michael Waltrip in the post-serial Pontiac, who ended up second. And when the TNT monster trucks came to town, Dennis Anderson's Gravedigger and Gary Porter's Carolina Crusher left town with victory.
Now running down a dream that never would come to me, working on a mystery, going wherever it leads, running down a dream.
Always the best in special events and special presentations at Louisville Motor Speedway, to complement the incredible week-in, week-out racing program that is second to none. But what makes it special at Louisville Motor Speedway are the people involved. From the people involved with each race team, through the drivers, to the fans in the stands, to the staff and management at the nation's finest short track. The best in the business. The drivers, the race teams, the facility itself. Louisville Motor Speedway.